Okay, so maybe I'm crazy or maybe just a little bit late to the party, but why do I feel like Citibank is actually going to be able to take some spotlight away from Chase and Amex in their credit cards in the not so distant future? And it's quite possible that this does happen in 2025 because of a few things related to a possible new premium credit card that Citi is coming out with, a lot of changes that they're making on the back end that some people aren't that happy about, and then specific transfer partners to not only hotels and airlines, hint, hint, American Airlines, that I think could actually change the way a lot of people talk about credit cards and some of the credit cards that they actually go for in, again, possibly 2025. And so just to get out of the way, I understand a lot of people say Citi customer support is the absolute worst, and a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about today have to do with Citi actually executing very, very well going forward. But with that said, I think it's very interesting. So I want to show you a couple of things I was looking at. So number one is the Citi Strata Premier. Now, of course, this was the card that got rebranded, went from the Citi Premier to the Citi Strata Premier. A lot of people liked it. $95 annual fee card, a great welcome offer of 75,000 points, spend 4K. Basically, it's the other CSP, right? The Chase Sapphire Preferred or the Citi Strata Premier. And that's a good sum of points. Now, I'm not going to talk about this card specifically, but the idea of Citi points has kind of, for me personally, fallen on deaf ears over the last couple of years as I've been accumulating a lot of Chase and American Express points and now Capital One. But after doing a little bit of research, I realized that a lot of these points can be transferred to a lot of different places. I didn't even realize they had 21 different transfer partners, Accor Hotels, Aeromexico, Air France, Cathay, Qantas, and even Wyndham are transfer partners with Citi, and thus sharing a lot of the same transfer partners that Amex, Capital One, and Chase all hold, meaning it's kind of putting it on the same playing field points wise in a lot of cases personally. On top of that, there are some other cards that do earn Citi thank you points to be used and transferred out. But one thing I noticed upon researching this, and one thing that a lot of people have been talking about recently, is the Citi Rewards Plus card. The Citi Rewards card seems to be getting discontinued. It is just a rumor right now, but they had an update today on 4/2. Another rumor notes that the Rewards Plus and Student Rewards Plus will be paused for new applicants on April 8th for both online and in branch, which I think is fairly interesting. And also, on top of that, a lot of people love their Citi double caches or their Citi custom caches. And especially for a lot of folks who have loved to get a lot of different credit cards with Citi and product change them over to Citi custom caches, as I've heard over the years. Some people have noted in the last week a lot of data points calling Citi that they are no longer able to product change some of their AA cards and what have you over to like some Citi double caches and whatnot, like their Citi AA cards over to other cards like the Citi double cache any longer. To which the main reason a lot of people like to do that is because like the Citi custom cache can earn 5% back in a lot of different categories, up to 500 every single month, unfortunately. But they can accumulate a lot of these, and if they do have a card like the Citi Strata Premier, that unlocks a whole slew of more transfer partners to again take that, funnel it to the transfer partners and get way more value out of that. But not just only are the points valuable because of all the transfer points that they have, and yes, you could accumulate a decent sum of them with those points. But one thing that I noticed, and one thing that I think could be interesting going forward, is that I noticed that the Citi Strata Premier is like the only card you can get a large sum of points anymore, considering if the rumors are true that the rewards cards are going away. And if you're no longer able to stack and get a lot of different other Citi cards, I could see that the Citi Strata Premier is the only one that can get you a large sum of points, and then you can use that for travel. But as we heard in some people's roadmaps, or even the insider that CalBNG spoken to, and even though it is still a rumor, a lot of people say, oh, it is definitely confirmed we're going to get a Citi Strata Elite card, or at least what they're calling it, a Citi Strata Elite. Considering the Citi Prestige card has not been open to applicants for some time now with a $495 annual fee, they're looking to see if there's going to be a rebrand or just a refresh for that higher end credit card where we can once again earn a lot of different points. And so, like I said, the transfer partners are powerful. The accumulation of points can be powerful depending if you get that card, if they release a new card, and the introduction of a new premium Citi card would be very interesting. I think there's actually a bigger play here in a couple different ways related to proposed transfer partners and ones that you actually can do today. One, as you notice on this list right here of all different transfer partners, there's actually one that is missing, one that's not on here for some reason. However, if you look a little bit further on a different article, you can see there is a direct partnership with something called the IPrefer Hotel Rewards. Now, let me explain why I think this might be interesting going forward. And again, it's not a perfect science, but it's something that might be interesting going forward. Now, notice how everybody on YouTube, right? A lot of people on YouTube always love to say chase points to Hyatt, right? We all say it. I love to say it. And it's valuable. There's a real reason for it, is because Hyatt hotels tend to give some great value, and most people end up saying they get at least 2 to 3 cents per point. I've gotten upwards to 8 cents per point on my Hyatt points before, so it's a really really powerful currency, and it's the reason I transferred about 400,000 Chase points last year over to Hyatt. And so just like how Chase and Hyatt are synonymous with good value for hotels, I actually think Citi and iPrefer are going to be considered the Chase and Hyatt of the next generation. Now, let me explain. Now, as I said earlier, there's a ratio right here of 1 to 4. So 1 Citi point equals 4 iPrefer points, which you could see right here was introduced back in 2024. Otherwise, before then, you could transfer 1 to 2 to Choice, and then Choice can transfer 1 to 2 over to iPrefer. But now it's just a direct partner where you can do 1 to 4 Citi to iPrefer. But let me show you why I think that's a little bit more powerful, and I'll actually do it from a live stream that I did just yesterday. It was actually an April Fool's prank, but we had somebody who joined the live who said this. I did want to mention Lambert actually said something really powerful. He said, "No, it's the truth. LOL. I'm trying to say that you can book the DuPont Circle." So I think that's in DC, right? Yeah, for 75K points per night, which is 19,000 Citi points because it's 1 to 4, which is 1,000 a night in July. That's powerful. Well, and so I got a little bit overzealous when discussing this and seeing that power, but it made me look into it that much further. Now, right off the bat, the iPrefer hotel program, a lot of people on Hyatt always complain about the footprint. Just know, again, right off the bat, at least as per AI, the AI overview, it states that the iPrefer hotel program has over 600 properties in 80 plus countries. They mentioned that it's primarily focusing on North America, Europe, and Japan, and includes some resorts in the Caribbean and Mexico. So very interesting. If you look at Hyatt as of 2024, they had more than 1,300 hotels. This is excluding Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which ended up adding, I think, around 1,900 hotels. So probably a little over 1,000 were actually included in the Hyatt program during this time. But most people don't end up booking Mr. and Mrs. Smith because it's 1 cent per point. I digress. But at least at its core, it seems like iPrefer has about half that of the footprint of Hyatt. So just know that off the bat. But with that, you can get some deals. Now, just like our friend Glampert mentioned in the live chat there, they mentioned this hotel here, the DuPont Circle Hotel. Now, I was just searching. I just picked a random date in May. If you view the rates, you could see it's $516 USD every single night. So if you hit view rates, and trust me, this website's kind of annoying. You have to make an account. It's a little weird. So don't get frustrated. Just keep clicking around and you'll eventually get to it. But I think with it being such a clunky UI, you might be able to get some added value, but I digress. So you can see here the awards chart for iPrefer for this specific hotel. It's 75,000 points, and it doesn't matter what time of year that you go. So it's non-dynamic, and it's 75,000 points no matter what. Now for this day in May that I chose for this stay, let's actually switch to the cash price and see how much it would be. So that's $516 every single night for this hotel. So we hit continue, and if we add the taxes and fees, how much is this hotel per night for a standard room? The suite 710, but the standard room here is $600, including taxes and fees. So if we do a little bit of math here, that's $600 times 100 divided by the points needed, so 75,000 points. That equals a 0.8 cents per point. You might be saying, Anthony, wait a second, that's not that crazy. What are these Marriott points? 1.8 cents per point. Why are we even thinking about this? Why are we even talking about this? But don't forget, remember, we transferred our Citi points to iPrefer. This is just the value of the iPrefer points. But if you factor in the 1 to 4 ratio, and if we want to actually give you the value for Citi points in this equation, we have to multiply the cent per point by 4. And that gives us a cent per point valuation of our Citi points at 3.2 cents per point, which that's Hyatt. I mean, come on, that's Chase to Hyatt right there, right? Which means you would only need, and to his example in the live stream, 19,000 Citi points transferred to iPrefer to help you book that 75,000 point stay for that particular hotel. And at 19,000 points, if you were to get the Citi Strata Premier, I mean, you could do that 4 times over, which is pretty cool. And it's not just this hotel. If we look at some other ones, if you go through just some of the crazy hotels that they have available here, you can go through and see which works for your own destination. If I have to choose one randomly, maybe I'll just choose, let's just go with the nicest looking one, maybe the Switzerland one, the 7132 hotel. I know nothing about this, but it's 150,000 points a night. Let's check the rates. So no matter when you go and book this hotel, and of course this one's a lot cheaper than this, and I'll do it just in a second. But let's just say, for an example, the same day in May, 150,000 points a night. For the cash price, it is a grand total of, oh, well, there's no availability on this exact night, but if you could see the cash prices are in a lot of these dates between 690 and $1,200 in cash. So if we want to take maybe the median and then add taxes and fees, maybe let's just say it's about $900 once again for this 150K stay. So let's see. Again, we're going to do $900 after taxes and fees at a minimum, just taking the average between the two, multiply that by 100 and divide by the amount of points needed. And that is zero point 0.6 cents per point. And again, multiply that by 4, and that's 2.4 cents per point. Again, that's a very lower end standard Hyatt redemption. And these hotels really do seem to go to some of the highest ends, absolutely. But let's check out some of the lower end ones. Like if we don't want to, squander all of our, amazing city points, what kind of different stays could we get? Let's say maybe we want to go to Singapore and maybe we want to go to this Royal Plaza on Scots. Again, I know nothing about these places, but let's just see. 30,000 IPrefer points. And if we're going to see the cash price for this stay in May, 6th and the 7th, I don't know why we love these dates. It's going to come out to a cash price, which looks to be about $300. Let's add back in the taxes and fees, which ends up being about $357. Once again, let's do some quick math on this. 357 times 100 divided by 30,000 points per night. And you get a cent per point of 1.19. Again, multiply that by 4 for the city value, and you're getting near 5 cents per point on this hotel redemption. And again, it's saying nothing about the hotel itself. Is it a good area? Is it a good hotel? Who knows? But it does seem on average that the iPrefer hotel, while being small, tends to gravitate towards the higher end type of hotel stays and ones that are really like 5-star and above. It really seems like. In fact, what's this one right here? Excelsior Palace, Portofino Coast. Let's see, it's down here. Where is this? Oh, it's Portofino. And so I guess you could see right off the bat kind of where my head's going. Well, one, cool City Strata Premier, a large sum of points, transfer it out to Emirates, do your Qantas, do all these different airlines that people love, which I'm just starting to really get into now. And then also, if they come out with this new premium, city, prestige, but, transformed, nowadays, then that would be also cool. Higher premium card. Maybe it gives you lounge access. Maybe it gives you a ton of other perks. Maybe it could compete with some of these other bigger cards like the Platinum or the Reserve. Who really knows? Again, a lot of this falls on city execution, which most people don't have a lot of faith in. On top of that, if you want to just also experience higher end hotels for pretty good cent per point value, it does seem like the City 1 to 4 to iPrefer hotel program is pretty powerful, at least from what I've seen so far. Let me know down below if you guys have already experienced iPrefer, but I'm just I'm just a guy who's very interested in this at the moment, and just, a points and miles fanatic, I will say. And so those are like the main two parts. And then the third part of this, again, execution on City's point, absolutely. But this is one that would change a lot of people's roadmaps for the future. And that is this article right here, which we've noted many, many times, which is people theorizing, is American Airlines, AA, going to become a direct city transfer partner? This is something that has been talked about now for a while. And essentially, because of the new partnership that has been renewed, exclusivity with Citi to allow them to produce and take over all of the, well, not only Barclays, American Airlines credit cards, but I guess American Airlines credit cards as a whole going forward are all going to be wholly with Citi, which is allowing people to think like, are we going to finally get an American Airlines direct transfer partner with Citi themselves? Which also, again, a lot of people in the community are grabbing a lot of these cards because they love their AA miles, and they find that they can book some awesome award flights, not only just domestically with American Airlines miles, but also partner airlines, all with their AA miles. People just really seem to love their American Airlines. Not something I've dabbled in myself, but just I see a lot and I talk to a lot of people. So I can observe and live vicariously through all of the AA people out there for sure right now. And it's also a theory, like we mentioned earlier, where right now you actually, it seems you cannot product change your AA cards over to City cards. Now, I was reading on some Reddit threads, some people were saying, like, maybe these are the stems. This is the foundation that they're setting to disallow some of these product changes. So this way they can finally issue American Airlines as a direct transfer partner. I don't know how true that is, but again, it's something that people have been theorizing and are hoping for going forward. And so, if that's possible, then I think a lot of people would change their minds as well on City and kind of go with them a little bit forward, even if they do have the terrible customer service and what have you. And so, in my mind, as I'm theorizing, like, what does the world look like if City can just perform and execute all of this perfectly? Well, you get a currency that not only has, I guess, a premium option and a sub premium option, like the 95 offer of the City Strata Premier and a 495 the City Prestige, whatever is going to be if it gets released. You can earn a lot of points, hopefully get some benefits along those cards. I'm sure there's going to be some credits and what have you. But you can essentially get a powerful currency to use just if you want to just earn it and burn it and just get the points for the welcome offer and use that for any of your transfer partners abroad, cool. If you want to keep them and hold them for I prefer hotel points, well, you can get some higher elevated experiences for all of your points you're earning with City, just transferred over to I prefer the hotel program. And then if this direct transfer partner comes in, you could also just directly transfer it to American Airlines, which would then, as we talked about, all the value that a lot of people in the community seem to get from American Airlines. And I guess it's a whole nother story talking about flying American Airlines and getting devalued and a million different things. And it's also not to mention that I guess right now City has the 48-month rule, which seems to affect all of these certain cards right here, whether they'll exist or not in the future, which means you can get a welcome offer on these cards once every 4 years, very similar to the Chase Sapphire Preferred, like right there. Whatever other rules or devaluations or changes that are going to come about going forward. But I just thought it was an interesting thought experiment and something that, at least for the I Prefer hotel, that gets me more excited. So I'm really excited for that. But then this raises another point in my mind, which is how do we see the greater credit card landscape changing going forward into, well, we're already into 2025, but even going further into 2025. And I did all of my predictions and all of the thoughts I had based on all the changes that have been happening right here. So click on that video. I hope to see you there, and I hope we talk about a lot of changes, and I hope we have a lot of vacations going forward. So thank you guys for being here all the way to the end for my ramblings, and I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much.